Hello, everyone. How's it going? It's Michael with FormerWin. I'm here to help you guys get your first engineering job. Today, we have Mr. Jonathan Harris. He has his PhD. He's done great things. He's going to tell us all about himself. He's an amazing dad. I look up and I respect him. You guys need to connect with him. If you need anything with cybersecurity, go reach out to him. Let's get it.
Awesome. Yes. Reach out.
So Jonathan, just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. It's so
Sure.
great to have you here.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for inviting me. I'm super excited. I do have a passion to help people out in general, so definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. And that's where I do most of my communications with other external. I mean, I'm on some other platforms too, but LinkedIn is definitely my preferred method. So a little bit about me. Back in 2000, I went to UCF as a undergrad in computer engineering. Fell in love with the school, fell in love with the area, really. I came up from Miami. I had some family in Lake Mary, which was nice. So I could get away from my immediate parents and get a little bit of independence in college, but still had enough to be able to on the weekends drive up to my aunt's house and get a nice family cooked meal. So I loved UCF. So obviously, I went back there for my master's and PhD as well. So really cool. Charge on if you're a knight.
Good night.
Uh, so when I graduated, I got an internship over at the in Research Park right next to UCF, working as a civilian with the Navy. I worked in an R&D lab. We do mostly training systems for the Navy there, so a lot of software that's doing long haul training. So we got East Coast, West Coast out in Yokosuka and Japan and Hawaii, and so we've got these large ranges and gigantic networks, and we have a bunch of training systems. We got to integrate everything. So that's been my day job in and out as being a software developer, a lot of networking, a lot of voice communication systems for the Navy and training. Um, my boss at the time, when I first was the intern, she went the industrial engineering route, and I really looked up to her as like a really good. I was her mentee kind of thing, and I respected what she was doing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go into my master's. And so I followed under her footsteps and under industrial engineering because I wanted to go the leadership style where that hard science meets the soft science and kind of where the human gets integrated into the mix with the machines. So that's why I decided to go industrial engineering. And then I tried to get my PhD paid for by the Navy. I missed out on some funding opportunities there. And at the same time, she had left to go back to UCF and be a professor over there. So she hired me on, and I left as a civilian life and went over into academia life and followed it and worked in one of her labs as one of the lab managers. It was still mostly Department of Defense contracts that I was working. So I didn't really get to leave the community too much. I get to still work with a lot of the same folks just getting a different paycheck from a different person. And as a plus side, they paid for the PhD. So I got to do my research and work at the same time, which is a lifesaver, especially since I have kids. Like you mentioned that I've got two daughters, and so being able to marry my work and academic life together really helped.
Yeah.
Well, I graduated, and she ended up leaving to go to Raytheon, and I went back as a civilian with the Navy after I graduated. So I'm back in the same small R&D lab with my same friends there. I love working there. And then just recently, I kind of morphed off of my day-to-day job as a software developer and went into cyber probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So I've been headstrong down in the cyber realm for a while. I've done really cool stuff in cyber training since we do the training systems here in Orlando for the Navy. I started and developed out this program called Cyber Red Zone, which is a capture the flag event for all the Department of Defense red teams, and they get to come in and play in this sandbox environment where they can practice their tactics, techniques, and procedures against a lot of the information systems that we have in the Department of Defense. So we have OT, operational technologies, plus we have a bunch of infrastructure, IT stuff. So they get to hack around in that environment, and so I get to help design a lot of that. So that's kind of what my day job is. Hope that helps.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that was an incredible breakdown. I hope everyone watching is going to take notes and figure out one piece of that and apply it. That's really key in all of this because if you do that, then you're going to change your life and really get to where you want to get to. I definitely have a few follow-ups for that. What was
Absolutely.
the major switch that you wanted to get into cybersecurity?
Ah, great
What
question.
triggered it?
What happened in the brain? Yeah. So here's a piece of advice. I saw the writing on the wall. One of our lead engineers who was in cyber was getting ready to retire. He was kind of one of the people that I looked up to as well. He was getting ready to retire, so I mean, you know what? I'm going to job shadow him for the about last year of his career.
Okay.
And so I was working on all the projects that he was working on, kind of as his understudy. And then when he left, we competed his position, or the command competed his position. And since I had the most experience in it, I was able to kind of follow in and get the promotion and go into his kind of swim lane. And so it was kind of an opportunity, but then I fell in love with cyber as well.
That's awesome. Okay. So, all right. So then that's great because you need to create opportunities, and you did
Sure,
that by studying under him. And then when the opportunity presented itself, you were the one that was most qualified and ready to go.
sure.
That's
That's pretty
awesome.
much how it worked. Yep.
That's so great. Man, you're an awesome guy. I can't wait to get to know you even better. What's some big struggles that you like went through kind of throughout that whole time? Maybe starting
Oh.
from student to the first job, and then we'll talk about from your first job to where you are now.
Okay. So some of the struggles early on. Um, Work-life balance, I guess, would probably be the biggest one.
Mhm.
Making sure that because before I had kids, it was a little easier to dedicate myself fully to my job. Which, if I looking back now, I mean, uh, I get to work for the government, so I get to have a good work-life balance if I choose to, and I've now definitely choose to do that. But so that was probably the biggest struggle was making sure that I had enough time for family and stuff. I think I've done a pretty good job lately. That's kind of been one of my core values is being a family man and getting to be with my family a lot more. So that's probably the biggest challenge is figuring out that balance between what I want to do at work and in my career goals and how do I want to live my life and be a family man. So that was probably early on.
Mhm. So
And
yeah, so with that, what do you think is someone could what do you think someone could do to really achieve that work-life balance? Do you think it's worth it to sacrifice in the early years and that'll propel you forward?
no, I think that it all comes down to what is the individual value. And for me, family life is what I really value internally. So I think it's not worth sacrificing that ever, right? So stick with what your values are.
Okay, awesome. So then after you kind of landed those jobs and then really getting to where you are now, what do you think was harder, your master's or PhD?
Neither. I think that I've being in academia, I got to see a lot of people go through the PhD program. I've helped with a lot of dissertations, and I'll tell you that it's not the smartest people in the world that get these PhDs. I'm one of them, right? It's really the people that dedicate the time to it and having a really good family infrastructure that supported it, right? Because I was doing my PhD when I had two kids and young kids, right? So. Having the wife that was super supportive was helpful.
Yeah,
And then I was also to not sacrifice as much family time. I would well also I had married it with my day job, so I got to work a little bit on my research during my work. But I would come home. We'd have family dinner together. That was one of our things that we said we were going to make sure we did. I would help get the kids ready for bed, and then I would drive back to UCF and be at UCF from about 10:30 till probably 1:30 in the morning writing my dissertation. So that was a
man,
lot of effort, but it was intentional to make sure it didn't impact family life.
that is great, and that's something everyone should model. I mean, that's a lot of hard work, but you took care of all aspects in your life, prioritized family life. I mean, I definitely plan on doing that. So that's great to hear it's possible, number one.
Sure.
But I mean, number
And
two, I
it definitely
respect you
helps to
for
have
it.
a supportive wife too. That's key.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So if anyone has any tips here, you need to go get a supportive partner. End of
There you
story.
go.
That's it.
There you go.
Now, in terms of people just starting out,
Hmm.
maybe they're in school, right? We kind of already talked a little bit about your journey, but what's one piece of advice that you would give them just starting out? Maybe they're in their junior year or senior year. What's one piece of advice for them to
Um,
really get into the field that they want to get into?
okay, so they're still in school and getting ready to join the
Yep.
workforce. Okay. One piece of advice I would say is network, network, and network, right? So get on LinkedIn, cold connect with people and reach out with them, right? I had somebody the other day on LinkedIn from Miami just uh, connected with me and said, "Hey, I'm just looking to get started. What do I need to do?" And I ended up writing a whole article because I'm like, you know what? I want to help this community out. So let me write an article on just pieces of advice that I don't think are widely available out there. So that's on my LinkedIn profile, and I was able to help him out there. So that's one thing is just be proactive and ask. I'm a bit of an introvert. Like if you look at the scale of introverted, extroverted, I'm probably close in the middle, but I would put myself on the introvert side. Sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone and move into that extrovertedness initially to get noticed. Conferences are always a big deal. I know in Orlando here we have one coming up called ITSIC. That's a big conference that for industry and academia and anything in modeling and sim. If you want to get into cyber and modeling and sim, if you want to get into software development and modeling and sim, if you want to get into pretty much any realm for the Department of Defense for training and simulation, that's the conference to go to. And they have a career fair. So go to that. Bring your resume with you and just walk the floor, talk to people. And if they you strike up a conversation, just have your resume ready and hand it out. So yeah, just be proactive. That's the best thing to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that was a great little snapshot of active awesomeness for students. I want to dig a little bit deeper with the networking.
Sure.
So a big thing that I'm learning, I'm coaching, I'm trying to really get a grasp on is building relationships. And I think everyone
Okay.
needs to really develop that and figure out the best way for them to do it. I think everyone's unique in their way that they do it. But
Yep.
what do you think in terms of networking and then building relationships? Like what's one way that someone can build a relationship with someone?
Okay, great question. So I got the opportunity to go to Carnegie Mellon, and I did it's a summer K sauce institute. If you're looking for a really cool summer, it's like a 1 week long class, and it's on social engineering and networking. The professor, Dr. Kathleen Carley, is world class in that realm. So I got to study under her for a week and learn kind of the techniques for social and networking and how to do this kind of stuff. And when somebody asked, "Hey, how do I get promoted in my job? What's the most effective thing to do?" And we were all at this point we were all talking about networks and interconnectivity between nodes, like as like a network graph, right? So for me, how hard is it to get to my commanding officer? Like, do I have to go through how many steps to get to my commanding officer, or does he know me by name, right? So I can build the dense network where I pretty much know a bunch of people internal to my command, or if you're an industry, it would be your company, right? But there's also the loosely connected nodes that go outside of your company or your command. And in my case, I've got a couple of good friends in our partnered organizations, and I've had several people in my command that needed to partner and work with these outside organizations. I'm not related at all in these projects, but because I have that interconnected nature to these other organizations, they come through me to be like, "Hey, can you introduce me to so and so?" So not only do you want to be interconnected within your own organization, you want to be connected as a bridge node to other external places that your command and companies are going to work with.
That is great. That is awesome advice. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
Awesome. All right, so next up, I don't know too much about it. I looked at the website for Thrive DX, I believe, right? That's
Sure.
what it's
So
called.
that's my night job, right? So once
Love it.
now that I've got my kids a little bit older and they're self-sufficient, they can put themselves to bed. I get to teach at night. So it's a for-profit company, and we partner with different universities, and I teach cybersecurity classes. A lot of
That
fun.
is awesome. So what's the major focus? I saw you had a 20-week course on there. Is that kind of to
Uh,
get certified, ready for the field?
a 20-week course. Oh, for Thrive DX does. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's a 10-month program. So there's
Okay, okay.
I've got a lot of irons in the fire. So there's the Thrive DX, which is my night job, what I teach, and I get to teach different classes. To me, it's kind of like I just teach a class and then I go and teach the next class that I'm teaching, right? So I do either
Yeah.
Python or
Okay, okay.
setting up a domain controller with Microsoft or cybersecurity in general. We have an intro class. But the way that program works is people come together as a cohort through the university. Usually it's about 20 people that take the program. It's a non-credit 10-month program where they're going to go through and learn soup to nuts what you need to be productive on day one in the field, right? So if you look at the body of knowledge that we cover, it covers pretty much 80 to 90% of what's on like the Security Plus certification. It goes deep in some other areas that deeper than that you would need for Security Plus, but it doesn't cover other areas. So I would say it's about an 80 or 90% equivalent to a Security Plus. But it's also taught by all the programs are taught by practicing members. So they're not academics, they're actually practitioners. So that's one thing that I like about the program is
Yeah.
I get to work with a lot of other uh, people that like to teach that aren't necessarily academic teachers.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
the other thing, one more topic here,
Yeah.
is I want to talk about is I partnered now with Moravian University to do a master's program in cybersecurity. So that was all also through ThriveDX. Because of their partnership with Moravian, we're actually doing a four credit master's program in cybersecurity. And so that's just
Awesome.
started out this semester. So I'm teaching my first class on that right now.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
that's pretty
huge.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah. Cool. All right. So then, I mean, cybersecurity, you're the man. So anyone that's watching that's interested in cybersecurity wants to know more, they need to
reach out.
contact you.
Yep,
That's what they
that's
need to
right.
do.
There you go.
All right.
Be that
Now we're
that
gonna
that
transition.
I'll be that node for you to be able to reach other people, right? So I can be your
Yeah.
bridging node.
Awesome. That's right. And then we're gonna go formal win.
There you
That's
go.
right. All right. So let's kind of bridge a little bit. We'll come back. But I think a really key point in everyone's life is fitness. So I kind of want to
Absolutely.
hear about fitness in your life, why it's important, why you think it's good for engineers to be involved in fitness and stay healthy.
Sure. So I don't know if it's necessarily I like fitness, right? Don't get me wrong. But really for me, it's about health.
Yeah.
I'm all about the whole aspect of it. So mental health. I'm not gonna proselytize for any religion, but I personally am a Christian and I'm a strong Christian. I think
I'm as
that's
well.
part of who I am. So I think there's huge benefit in whatever religion you are, but being engaged in that. That's good for mental health, good for social connections and stuff. And then food, right? My older daughter, who's just now 12, when she was 10, she had really high cholesterol. And we ate decently healthy, I would say, but that was a wake up moment for us. So a couple years ago, we decided to go completely plant-based for a
Awesome.
while. And so now we've been doing that for a little over 2 years. And I think that's really made my health jump. I look at every time I donate blood now, my cholesterol numbers keep coming down and down and down. So
Good.
that
Cool.
that's been helpful. And her numbers plummeted as well, right? They wanted to put her on a lifelong statin. We're like, what other
Mm,
options are there? We'll do anything else. And that was what it was.
yeah.
So health is good there. And so through that, I've been running off and on as a way to try to stay fit. I need to get back into more weights. So because weight bearing exercise is definitely important as well.
Mhm.
But running is kind of been my thing. I can like escape, go for a nice little
Yeah.
3 to 5 mile run, and just escape and let my brain relax. And so that has been instrumental. So I try to do that 2 to 3 times a week, just to stay in shape. And so if you're ever around UCF and you see a crazy guy running around, that's probably me.
Oh, that's you? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
that's me. Yep. So try not to
Yeah,
hit
no.
me.
No, okay. No, I'm kidding. I love it. With fitness, right? So like when you work out and kind of when you
Mhm.
started, I mean, especially when you switched to diet, number one,
Yeah.
but I mean, along all those lines, do you notice an increase in your productivity at work because of that?
I would say yes. Yeah, I would say that I've noticed energy levels have definitely spiked in general across the board. The running, I think more so than the diet, the running gives me those endorphins. So after lunch, yeah, I'm ready for the afternoon, right? That's definitely a big energy boost.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then I'm kind of opposite of you. I'm very focused on weightlifting, but I want to get into
Mhm.
running more. So
Okay,
yes. So maybe we could bounce ideas off of
there
each
we
other.
go. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I think fitness is critical. I love that. I love that you take it
Sure.
seriously like that. And I think everyone watching, if you're not, just start doing something like once or twice a week just to get active and be healthy.
It's it's all about consistency, right? Just
Yeah.
get into a pattern and just be consistent about it. If you just walk a mile a day, have that be your thing, and as long as you're consistent at it, it'll start to grow. So consistency
Then
is the
that'll
key.
and then that'll build confidence. And
There you
then
go.
and then you kill it. That's it, man.
Yep.
Okay, so now so this is a little bit of a unique question. I want to
Okay.
see what your take on it is. It's completely open-ended.
All
What's
right.
something you think is overlooked in the industry, or maybe for students trying to find a job, or just trying to really succeed in your career? So maybe it's something that not a lot of people talk about, an unspoken rule. Maybe it's something that people don't focus on that they should focus on. What you got?
Okay. Good. Let me think about this for a second. I would say the best thing that I've done in my career is, as a way to build my network, is to be helpful, right? If you see somebody that's doing something, like I helped move a bookshelf today. Somebody was moving, actually he's cleaning out. It was our technician that works in our lab, and he's rearranging his whole office, and so we were moving stuff around. I took a big bag of trash out to the dump for him. Uh, and Fridays are usually a little lighter, so it's easy for me to do this kind of thing. So but be helpful, right? Just anywhere you can be helpful to anybody, just be helpful and be friendly.
One of my mentors, I love the quote that he gives. If you're feeling helpless, get helpful. So that definitely connects and
Yeah,
resonates with everything I'm about. So
sure.
that's great.
Yeah, and then
Awesome. Okay.
I'll give one more piece of advice that
Yes.
that came to my head just now was one of my former supervisors said that if you can do something in 5 minutes, then do it right now. Don't add it as to your list. Just go ahead and do it. So yeah, 5 minutes or less. Don't put it on your list. Just go ahead and do it.
That's that's a golden nugget right there. Definitely
Yeah.
make sure everyone writes that down. All right, next up. So I don't believe in anything being easy, so I'm not asking this question from an easy perspective. But what's a quick and easy way for someone to find a job?
Yeah. USA Jobs. I think if you're going in the
Okay.
government, good work-life balance, that's a great resource to go after right away. Um, certifications open doors. I think that degrees are great, and I encourage degrees, right? Like I'm an academic in heart, right? So I agree with degrees. But a quick way would be to get a certification and open a door. Don't pay for more than one though. Have your employer, if they want other certifications, have them pay for it, right? I've gotten several certifications, and I don't think I've paid for a single one, right?
Great. Okay, perfect. All right, now another little personal question. So we already talked about some of the fun stuff that you do outside of work. It sounds
Mhm.
like you resonate a lot with my quote, winning, or my favorite quote, winning is more fun than fun is fun, because you got your night jobs, you're rocking it, you're killing it, and you're a
Yep.
hustler. But what's a hobby that you might have outside of work,
I wish I had hobbies. No, my
right?
kids are my hobby. So, my
Yeah.
daughters are both just this past year decided to take up fencing. We came
Oh,
across
cool.
Sword Masters Academy here in Orlando, and we like, hey, it's a free trial. We'll go try it out. And my oldest has fallen head over heels for fencing. So, any
Awesome.
chance I can get, I take her to practice. I sit and watch all the practices with them. At home, we're just pretend sword fighting around. So
Yeah,
if anything is I'm invested in my kids, so I would say my hobby would be to watch them fence.
I love that so much. Awesome. Yeah, a few of the people I grew up with did some fencing, so I definitely saw that, and I can see how fun it could be. I never did it, but that's
Yeah,
awesome.
neither did I. It looks fun.
All right. So if you could go back in time and change one thing, school,
Ooh.
work choice, something choice, one thing or the other, what would it be?
Oh man, I wish I would have. Yeah, this is probably a question I probably should have prepped for better. I love my life. Like I'm absolutely like love my life, everything that I've done in my life. One thing that when I went over to work for UCF, the Institute for Simulation and Training, which is a research arm at UCF, I worked with a lot of psychologists. So that's when I started picking up books like Dan Ariely or who else is there? He just passed away. What was his name? He Think Fast or Slow. Daniel Kahneman, there we go, psychologist. And had I done that earlier, I probably would have been in a totally different field. I would be in psychology right now. So I like the fact that I was able to marry the two, but I found psychology much later in life than I wish I would have, right? I love listening
Okay.
to some podcast on it. So it's just really fascinating the way the human brain works.
I completely agree. So like more so like personal development, but also that, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I'm very early in my career, but I didn't really start getting into personal development until halfway through my college career. So
Yeah,
I mean that was great that I did that. If I did
sure.
that earlier, it definitely would have benefited me so much. So
Sure.
yeah, no, I can definitely resonate with that.
Earlier is better, right?
Yeah. So I'm assuming your answer is going to be cybersecurity, but for
Okay.
people just starting out in tech, what do you think is the number one um position to kind of shoot for or aim for? If they don't know where to go, like what's the number one thing that they should
Oh my
try to
gosh. So
do?
yeah, cyber is very broad because of the fact that you can have people that come from logisticians that do logistics, very technical like pen test team. You can do policy if you're somebody that's really good with details like crossing T's and dotting I's. So cyber is such a broad field that you can get into it from pretty much any industry and be effective day one. Coming in from the tech side, my heart has always been in software development, so I would say software development's a great area to start because there's with anything there's a learning curve and there's barriers to entry, but I think software has a lower barrier to entry than something like mechanical engineering or civil engineering, where to really grow in that field, you have to have access to projects and stuff that are multi-million dollars, right? You're not going to get the work life or work experience developing
Your own thing.
yeah, exactly. Your own thing, right? You have to
Mhm.
work on multi-million dollar project. Whereas software, it's virtually free to construct, right? So uh, you can build complex projects, or you can start as small as asking ChatGPT
Yeah.
to help build a resume, right? So anywhere you want, anywhere in between. So software is a great low barrier to entry, a lot of fun. When I started out, there would be times when I would get into the lab, start writing code early in the morning, and the next thing I know, my phone's buzzing in my pocket. My wife's like, "Why aren't you home for dinner yet?" Because I just totally lose track of time, right? My whole right brain shuts down, and I'm just going and writing code.
That's the
So it's a lot of
zone.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Yep.
love that. Do you do anything like priming in terms of getting ready to get in the zone? Like, so like for me, like when I work out, like I listen to like a little motivational video, then that gets me ready for the workout. Or maybe during work, maybe I'll listen to a leadership 10-minute podcast or
Yeah.
something, and then go have a meeting like with my team that I'm leading. So
Oh,
like, do
that's
you do
cool.
anything like that?
I wish I might pick that up. That might be some advice that I'm going to take out away from this meeting, right?
There
I
you go.
don't. So when I run, I listen to audiobooks. When I drive to and from work, I'm listening to cyber audiobooks. So I'm a nerd like that. So I don't know if it's
That's
priming,
priming. Yeah. You're getting ready. You're getting
but
ready.
it's a habit that I just got into early on, right? So it's either I hardly ever listen to I do sometimes. I just need to escape. I'll listen to music, but for the most part, it's audiobooks or podcast. So that's yeah,
Awesome.
on my way to and from work. And then before I teach every class, about 10 minutes or so before, I'll just have a quiet time where I'll pray and things like that. So maybe that's considered
Yeah.
priming too, right? Yeah.
100%. 100%. Awesome. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time here, helping students, coming on here, talking with me. I definitely feel like we bonded a little bit. So
Yeah.
I just feel like I love everything about you, especially since you're a family man and you really take that seriously because not a lot of people do. Some
Mhm.
do, most don't do it effectively, and it sounds like you're just a killer at it. So I'm definitely going to take some parenthood advice whenever I'm ready for the time.
There you go. Yep.
So
Reach out if you have questions as a fatherhood, because it is awesome.
yeah, yeah, I can't wait. Well, thank you for everyone watching. I'm going to leave some links down in the description, especially for his post that he posted to help a student out, as well as his profile, so you can go follow him, reach out to him. But again, thank you everyone for watching. Reach out if you need anything. See you guys later. Go form a win.